Alrighty, let's take a look at 9.3. If you are watching this video, you should be prepared to move on. You're really confident in graphing, and now we're going to look at what we can do with some graphs and equations. The first key idea for today is that the roots of equations are the values of x that make an equation equal to 0. So that means if I have x plus 2 equals 5, what number for x makes it 0? So in this case, I'm going to look right at example number 1. We're going to look at this for equations to begin with. And I need to think of what number makes the equation equal to 0. Basically, I'm going to solve for x, right? So in this case, I have x squared equals 144. And I need to get x by itself. So that means I need to get rid of that squared sign right there. To get rid of the squared sign, I need to take the square root of both sides. Remember, if I do something to one side, I have to do it to both sides. So now I get the square root of x squared. Now, when I have a square root and a square power, they cancel out. And so I get x equals the square root of 144. Now I need to think, okay, what's the square root of 144? And I know that the square root of 144 is positive or negative 12. These are my solutions. Those are my roots. Right there. Now, if I go to my next problem, I have a little bit more information. It's not quite so easy because x is not y itself. Well, in this case, q. So, in this case, first thing I need to do is divide by 2 because we're doing PEMDAS backwards. And we cancel out that 2 and we end up with q squared equals 0 divided by 2 is 0. So now we're back to the same spot. I need to take the square root of both sides. Square root of q squared equals square root of 0. Then my squared sign and my square root cancel out. I'm left with q equals 0. This is my root. And I'm going to now go to example number 2 because that one's a little harder. And we're going to see that we have x squared minus 8. Remember, keep remembering that we're doing PEMDAS backwards. We are doing reverse order of operations. So we're starting with this addition and subtraction. You look here, can I subtract or add anything? Yes, I can add 8 to both sides to move that 8. And I'm left with 2x squared equals 0. Oops, equals 8. Now I need to divide by 2 on both sides to get rid of that 2, because that's the next thing in order of operations, right here. And then we get x squared equals 4. Now we're back to that step where that looks really familiar to us, and I'm going to take the square root of x squared equals the square root of 4. The squares cancel out, and I know that x is equal to 2. Well, x is equal to positive or negative 2. And those are my roots, or my solutions to this situation that makes x, the equation equal to 0. Alrighty, so now you guys are going to do examples 4, 5, and 6. I will just show you the answer in a minute. Alrighty, so if you don't have them done yet, just pause and you can get it in a second. So this one you're going to get x is equal to 0. That is my root. For example number 4, I'm going to get no solution. You may ask, why do you get no solution? Because I need to move this 9 to the other side. And so I have x squared equals negative 9. There is no number squared that will give me negative 9 because I cannot take the square root of a negative number. Not possible. It's like illegal in math. I can't do it. So now if I look at the next problem, I see that I get the same situation and I have no solutions here because I would need to take the square root of negative 225, which looks like it's possible. You think it might be 15, but you cannot take the square root of a negative number. Not possible. Therefore, you're stuck. Can't do anything. Okay, let's look at some graphing situations. We're going to do the first one by itself. And I'm going to plug in some points. Remember, we always go -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. I'm going to plug 0 into my equation, so I get 0 squared minus 9 equals -9. And then I put -9 there. Now I'm going to plug in 1. 1 squared minus 9 gives me -8. And I can put -8 on the other side too. Now I am going to do 2 squared minus 9 gives me 4 minus 9, which is equal to -5. -5 on both sides. Now I'm going to plot those points on my graph. And I'm going to get a graph that looks like this. -9, -8, and looks like this. So now I'm going to sketch in my points, and it's going to look something like this. And the question asks us, identify if it has one solution, two solutions, or no solutions. So in this case, my solutions are where my graph crosses. So like right here, that is the solution, and here is the solution. So we can say in this case that I have two solutions. Now, if I had a graph that, say, perhaps, you don't have to write this down, so don't confuse yourself, a graph that looked perhaps like this, and it just touched it at one spot, it would have one solution, right? So now if I had a graph that looked like this, and it started way up here, this would be no real solutions. So you need to pay attention to where does it cross the x-axis. Alrighty, I would like you to do example number 8 and see how many solutions you would have. Alrighty, so you can pause it if you don't have it yet. I'm just going quick because I don't want to make a super long video for you. So your numbers you should be able to fill in look like this. Make sure you're doing it so you know what is happening, right? You're going to have 1, 1 and 1/2, and 3. So when I plot these points, I get something that looks like this. 1, 1.5, and 3. Oops, 3. And when I connect my dots, it looks like this. Whoop. And because this does not cross the x-axis anywhere right there, I know that I have no solution. It doesn't cross the x-axis. No solution at all. Alrighty, so let's take a look, and we're going to do one of these problems. We are going to do number 9. It says find the value of h. So first thing we need to know is what is the formula for the area of a triangle. The area of the triangle is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. So in this case, I'm given the area. The area is 12 centimeters. I'm also given that the base is actually called 2h. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 2h times h. So I basically just put that 2h in there because they already told me what it is. Now I can simplify this a little because I know that 2 times 1/2 is actually h. So I'm going to have h times h equals 12 centimeters. Now, do we know what h times h actually is? Kind of. Anything times itself is squared. So we're stuck here. I still don't have h by itself. I need h to be by itself. And remember, when we have a squared, we do the square root of both sides to get rid of that. So the square root of 12 is equal to the square root of 12h. We have square roots canceling out here, and we're left with the square root of 12 equals h. You can either leave this as the square root of 12 or find the decimal. That is your choice because it's not a nice number. And remember that that is centimeters. And that would be your answer. You can easily find the area of a triangle by using square roots. Alrighty, I know I went kind of quick, so if you have any questions, make sure you ask. And now you can get started on the practice for 9.3.